And welcome to Bastogne in Belgium. We're in the Ardennes region in the south-east of the country. My name is Paul Mayling. You join us live here for the Belgian Grand Prix, but it's also the latest stage of the European 125 Championship. Well, the town itself, Bastogne, as the roundabout there in the centre of the town dictates, is famous for one of the cycle classic events, the Liège-Bastogne-Liège. One of the most famous, right up there with the Tour de France, among others. But also this town more famous for the military past. It was the scene of one of the bloodiest battles towards the end of the Second World War, 1944-1945. where 17,000 US troops were killed here in what was one of the surprise attacks during that period. The Sherman tank there in the town square, one of the iconic memories of the history of this town. We have also the museum and the American War Memorial as well, the Bastogne Memorial. But this weekend, it's all about, first of all, the European EMX 125 Championship, and then, of course, later on, the FIM MX2 and MX1 World Championship. Well, the circuit here, 1,550 meters long, was completely different to what it is now. Of course, the 125 riders had their first race yesterday afternoon at a slightly earlier time of about 3:40. We're going down, though, to the start line. Here's Amy.
It's Sunday, it's race day, it's the second race for the EMX 125 guys. I'm down the start line. We're going to grab a quick word with Calvin. Calvin, we saw you finish on the podium last week, but yesterday the first moto seemed a bit more tough for you.
I got off to a bad start, so I had to fight my way through the pack, and halfway through the race I wasn't concentrating and I went over a rut and my back wheel just went over me and I crashed, and the handlebar went into my leg, so I had to lay me, and it was hard for me. It was a really tough race. It was bad for my championship, but I have to fight, and I'm really sore today, but I have to see what happens.
Thank you. Well, we'll wish you a good race as we move down the start line, and we're also going to grab a quick word with Magne. Magne had a great race yesterday, very consistent, finished second. Magne, how are you feeling coming in today after yesterday?
Yesterday was a good day for me, and today I'm just going to try to get a good start and just do my best.
Thank you very much. Well, we're going to let these guys now go on with their race, so let's enjoy the second race of the EMX 125s.
Thank you, Amy. Well, as I said a moment ago, the weather conditions here couldn't be any further away from what we had yesterday. When we first arrived on Thursday, it was glorious sunshine. The weather forecast predicted that Friday was going to be a wet day, and that proved to be true as well. But Saturday should have been also a dry day, nice and windy, and it should have been a full schedule yesterday. However, the rain continued through the night, all through the day, and it was pretty persistent. And of course the circuit then became very wet and muddy, and it's a brand new venue here as well, the first time, but we are back in the Wallonie region, just about 45 minutes or so down south from Namur, another famous Grand Prix circuit of years gone by. Of course we no longer race there, but the ground actually, now that it's drying out, looks a little bit like the dirt that you would get at Namur, that dark kind of surface. I thought it would be a little bit more loamy than it was, and it looked on the Thursday when we did our track walk on MX Live TV, but turns out that it's quite firm underneath, so it's going to be hard and slick. There's going to be one or two bumps breaking out on the entry, of course, and on the exit of the turns. But yesterday, circuit conditions, well, look, that's the start straight. You see an amount of wet slop that's been moved from the start straight in order to give us the perfect platform to get into turn one. And also, of course, what you have to remember is these guys didn't have any dry practice yesterday. Right from the word go, it was a sloppy mess. Deep ruts pretty much the order of the day. Coming out of the corners, on the faces of the jumps, the guys were working around the clock pretty much constantly to keep on top of things. Of course, when we have those kind of conditions, what then happens is the organizers are at their discretion to alter the schedule. Even the MX2 and MX1 riders didn't do their qualifying races, but more of that later. Now, some things never change, though, despite the conditions, and that is, of course, Tim Gajser. The graphic there says it all. First overall, Bulgaria, Italy, Portugal. 3 rounds so far that he's had. And Tim Gajser proving that no matter what the conditions are in front of him, he is more than up to the task. There's Magne Klingsheim. Had a good ride last week, did Klingsheim. Finished second in the third in the first moto, but then was 10th in the second after a poor start. But that was a couple of podiums for him, and he was second in the first moto yesterday as well. And Klingsheim, the order of the race pretty much, Tim Gajser getting a start and never looking back, led every single one of the 12 laps ahead of Klingsheim. Then the number 77, Arminas Jasikonis of Lithuania, he ran third for a couple of laps and then eventually came home in 5th as he was overhauled by Paul Jonas of Latvia, who went on to finish in 3rd. That's the 1:41 rider. These are the qualifying times. We'll go through those in a moment, but 3 riders worth pointing out. James Dunn, who started in 10th, just seemed to struggle with the conditions yesterday, as did a lot of riders, but he started 10th and gradually started to drop down. He was losing 1 rider per lap over the first 4 laps, and then he lost a couple places with a fall. He tried to steady that and then ended up coming home in 26th. So James Dunn, the HM Plant KTM UK rider, was nowhere in the points yesterday after a fine second place last week in the second moto to Tim Gajser in Portugal. A little bit further down and starting way down in 26 on the opening lap, Davide Bonini. He started in 26 and worked his way up to 13th, pretty much following through the number 95 of Simone Fallotti. But the last 2 laps, Bonini sprung the surprise attack on his fellow Italian and went through and stole 13th just in the closing stages of the race. Yet Cornet of the Netherlands also ran a good race, coming through from 22nd to get inside the top 10 with a fine 8th place as well. So the guy from the Netherlands rode pretty solid, as did Anton Lundgren of Sweden, 12th on the opening lap. Wasted no time to get to 7th, but then it was pretty static from there on in. And the Swede, who now sits 5th in the championship, 12 points behind Calvin Vallanderen, and had a good 7th place in moto, a 14-point score and a 15-point score. So, 7th and 6th in Portugal last week, was right back on target. And they're pretty much the places, although actually 4th in the second moto in Bulgaria. So he has been knocking on the door for a podium, has Anton Lundgren. Well, Dave Nicola, race director, down there, waiting to get the riders underway. Now, obviously, the qualifying a little bit different in the European races. They have qualifying races, and obviously the winner from the first group was Tim Gajser, so that's why he went to the line first. The winner from the B group was Magne Klingsheim, that's why he went to the line second. And so the timings that you saw on the screen earlier, that was how that was decided. There was, of course, a last chance qualifying practice. 4 guys went through from there. Freek van der List of the Netherlands, Martin Kurtz, Jeffrey Ebbers and Danny de Vries. And that's what makes up the grid here. Right, the 15-second board goes up then. And we're about to go racing here for the European UEM 125 Championship. So far we've had rounds in Bulgaria, Italy and Portugal. This is round 4. There's Klingsheim up the inside. He wants a good jump. And a much cleaner start line. And it's the... Wow, look at that for a whole shot. Long start straight going in, long start straight coming back. But the 471, I think, or maybe even the 411, Nicolas Ducourt. But he's got Gajser, wow, almost wheel to wheel through there. And the 2 riders almost colliding, but Gajser wasting no time getting to the front. But it was Nicolas Ducourt. Then right there behind him, Paul's Jonas in 3rd position at 141. And then on the far side, looks like James Dunn on the HM Plant KTM. So James Dunn this time getting a better start, and these drier conditions as I said before, much different to yesterday. Really opening up the racetrack now, so we should be in some fine racing this afternoon. Jonas looking at the inside of James Dunn, and James Dunn not quite getting over the tabletop there, but he's challenging Jonas. Pretty much all the way, but what a good start for Nicolas Decourt. 4:11 on a Yamaha here in the green. They're in second position, rocketed out of the start. That's Paul Jonas behind him, the 141 Latvian. Then we've got James Dunn, number 200, in fourth place. As they sweep around, coming out of the wooded section, over the tabletop. Then they have the big step up here. Quite a stretch on the little 125s. A couple of corners to go before they come over the finish line for the first time. Out of this right-hander at the bottom. Not quite 90 degrees, actually. Then they head up, and then over the Monster Energy finish line. And we'll give you the rundown now where everybody is. We know Tim Geiser leads, is 2 seconds clear of Nicolas Decourt. Then we've got Paul Jonas in third. Then James Dunn is fourth. Václav Kovar, the 101, is fifth. Then we've got Ludovic Brevers in sixth. Van der Vlist is seventh. Alessio Delamore eighth. Then we've got Van Mechelen is in ninth. And look at the start that Decourt got there on the Yamaha, the Frenchman. Probably had to check back here just to see if the start still went ahead. He was thinking, surely it can't be a false start. Mechelen is ninth, then mainly Klingsheim down in 10th. Then we've got the 156 of Jordi van Nobelen. Here's 11th, Martin Kirch is 12th, Dietger Damians 13th, Michael Eccles is 14th, and Anton Lundgren down in 15th, Riccardo Rigi, Simone Fillotti, Dan Huse, the 123 of Lasse Kristoffersen of Norway on the Kristoffersen Yamaha, and Jack Cornet down in 20th position. I don't recall seeing Bonini anywhere. He's down in 21st place, just behind Calvin Verlanderen. So two of the regulars. Henry Jacobi as well, down in 28th place. Nicholas Adams, 29th. Gianluca Deggi, just behind them. So a lot of work for some of the guys, some of the more fancied runners to do. This long right-hander through here. Slightly off cambered as it works its way down past those KTM banners into that single. And really was pretty good to watch the riders through there yesterday as the wheels fought for traction in the wet conditions. But as you can see, the sun is out, no chance of rain today, and we have the perfect circuit. It's James Dunn, HM Plant UK KTM, in the white there, number 200. As he continues to push on to find a way past Paul Jonas of Latvia. Geiser still continues to lead, though. Jonas now second, Decourt third. Just saw him disappearing there just around the corner at that flash of green there, just ahead of James Dunn. Kovar still hanging on in fifth, the 101. Ludovic Brevers, Alessio Delamore down in seventh. The 118 of Joel van Mechelen. Another rider who had a good ride last week in the second race in Portugal. He's down there in 8th. Manny Klingsheim now 9th. And then Van der Vlist down in 10th place as Kovar takes a look over his shoulder. Just running on a little bit too far. It's the 5 shallow waves here. Out of that right-hander. Conditions just about perfect for these 125 guys. Be interesting to see now how the organisers, who have done an absolutely fantastic job throughout the night getting this place in race condition. Be interesting to see now whether they will have to water during the course of the day, ironically, as the circuit dries out. But as I said earlier, hard and slick underneath, so there's going to be a certain amount of water that will go down and obviously slick up the race line. Good line there, though, for the 243. Tim Geiser, who's on a 100% record at the moment in this championship in 2012, yet to be beaten. Even going back to the final round last year at Fermo in Italy, where he won both races. So he is Mr. Maximum at the moment. Sitting in the championship on 175 points. And he's already 56 clear points ahead of Magny Klingsheim. Klingsheim down in 9th place at the moment in the race. This little battle here with Meckelin, Delamora and Brevers as they come over the line. Brevers still there at 161 in 6th place. Klingsheim is 7th for 100 in the middle of those guys. So he's picked up another couple of riders as Magny Klingsheim. The Norwegian on the Bastogne GM Racing KTM. Jackie Martins, the team manager, definitely be getting hooked up with some decent parts for that KTM, that's for sure. Obviously making light work of the guys ahead of him. Didn't make the best start and already found a way through on Brevers, so now in the 6th position. Really having to work then, Klingsheim. Delamora coming under pressure. Looks like he's been outdone there by the 118 of Joel van Mechelen. And who's that in the background? 188, I think. That'd be Freek van der List. That corner in the background over the Monster Energy double jump. It's pretty tricky yesterday because you enter it on a downhill, bit of a stretch double heading into that right-hander, and then if you don't get on the gas early enough, it's just and as the 125 riders are showing there, difficult to get over it if you don't get that perfect drive. Working their way back from the bottom end of the circuit. Not too much in the way of elevation here. Quite an old school traditional circuit, even though it's brand new, and old school by virtue of the fact that the location of it and the actual setting of the venue, but obviously with a modern twist. The big step-ups are a mistake there from Delamora. So Delamora gets undone there by Van Mechelen, van der List. So Van Mechelen already had gone through there. So 16.5 minutes plus 2 to go. Tim Geiser now has a 7-second advantage. Sets the fastest lap of the race at 1:59.7. Paul Jonas is still there behind, but look at the lap time difference. 1:59.7 compared to the 2:02.8 of Paul Jonas. James Dunn is now up into 3rd place. He's still a couple seconds down, though, on Paul Jonas. Here's James Dunn, so towards the end of the race, he's going to be wanting to try and close down that gap on the Latvian and go after another 2nd position here, just like he did in Portugal 1 week ago. But it's been a strange season for James Dunn. Seems to be having one good race and one bad race for whatever reason. But unlike this guy here, Mr. Consistent. Ah, look at this. This is the battle for 2nd. On the right-hand side, the 200 of James Dunn now going after Jonas. Jonas, a former 85cc world champion. And Dunn looks to have, no, gets squeezed on the outside. Will he make it on the step up here? Right, Geiser is swinging all the way around the outside here, carrying more corner speed than anybody. Durcourt is not out of this either. 3-way battle for 2nd position, despite the fact that the guy in the orange there in 2nd, Paul Jonas, the 141 on the KTM, has found a way through. So too the number 200 of James Dunn. Durcourt, who's having his first outing, well, not his first outing, his finest outing in the European Championship so far. He's not afraid to mix it with the more established runners. And there'll be a good French crowd here this weekend as well, because we're in the French part of the country. We've got Luxembourg just over the border. So where we are geographically, pretty easy to get to for the French as well as the Belgians, the Luxembourg, the German crowd, and of course the home Belgians, the guys from up north, the Flemish-speaking contingency. So 2nd, 3rd, 4th, just here on screen. Jonas, James Dunn makes the double. Will he carry the momentum? Right, he gets himself caught short there, goes too wide. And that was always the danger. And then he's made that mistake and he's almost leaving himself open again for attack by the Yamaha rider, Nicolas Decourt. Just looking to see Nicolas Decourt, where he finished in the first race yesterday. Finished 4th yesterday. So that would have got him 18 points. And sits 18th in the championship. Only did Portugal. Got an 8th in the first race, didn't score in the second moto. So things looking good for the Frenchman, although second half of the race looking like he's just losing the toe here. One of the riders going down. Can't quite make out who that is though, but anyway, picks himself up, get himself turned around, and he'll get going in the opposite direction in the right way. James Dunn having another look here at Paul Jonas, and he's going to run it down the inside. Pulls the oldest trick in the book, handful of clutch on the gas, hoping that the guy ahead will make a mistake. He's got the right line coming in here as well. But Jonas sweeps across into those 3 shallow waves. James Dunn will try to square off, will he? Oh, no, he runs it down the inside, but he'll get squeezed again into the first turn. So these two beating each other up, and that's allowing Tim Geiser to move clear to the tune of 12 seconds. James Dunn over the triple jump, he goes. It's going to be a double single for him. He's going to try the double option again. This time he makes it stick. Can he land it and keep it tight? He gets the slingshot around the outside and does manage to go through on Jonas this time. But once again, Jonas taking the tighter inside lines, but James Dunn opting to get the slingshot and the momentum through the wave section. So the HM Plant KTM UK rider now finally moves into second position on lap 6 in this second UEM 125 European Championship race. Takes a look over to his right to see where the flash of orange and yellow is Tim Geiser, but he's nowhere to be seen. This double here, quite a stretch. You can see the lighter line in the middle where the majority of the riders have been landing. Gets over it this time. That Monster Energy tabletop does James Dunn. Ford getting ready to go out. Be slightly more than that, I think, on the timing, because he's a handful of corners away from completing the lap, so be more 10.5 plus 2, so be interesting to see now what his lap times can be. James Dunn, a 2:02.6 behind Paul's Jonas last time around. There is Jonas, the Latvian, and he was a full second quicker, even though he had to come through. And you can see he's already put some distance between himself and Jonas. So Tim Geiser that time around was a 2:03.7. James Dunn a 2:01.6. Brings that gap down to 10.2 seconds. And Jonas 2:04.2. So you can already see the gap between him and James Dunn. Dunn now in second, just going past pit lane. That's 141. Paul's Jonas, Nicolas Decourt still hanging on in there though, quicker than Jonas that time around. Could actually be knocking on the door for a third place finish here. Václav Kovar down in 5th position at the moment. He's still hanging in there. Just a second and a half or so down on Nicolas Decourt. There is Decourt there on the number 411. Blue Yamaha. Frenchman, or French kid, I should say. See him trying to use all the lines, all of the track. That's turn 6. Again, slightly off-cambered through there, but helped by the aid of the ruts that have formed already this morning. Oh, Adams goes out, Nicholas Adams. So Adams already being, and look, you can tell from the body language, already now, he was down in 22nd position. Thomas Marini coming in. Whatever problems he has, obviously, we don't know. But further down, just inside the points, Davide Bonini and Simone Fallotti. This will be harmful for their championships. Fallotti now in 15th. Bonini only in 18th position. Bonini third in the championship at the moment, just 5 points behind Klingsheim. Klingsheim is in 7th, still not find a way past Ludovic Breves. As Geiser comes over the line to complete his 7th lap with a time of 2:03.2. Waiting for James Dunn to come through. He was 2:01.6 last time, 2:01.8 now. That gap 8.8 seconds. So Tim Geiser can afford to relax just a little bit. But if he's not careful, James Dunn might just be coming into view there at the end of pit lane. And this is turning out to be a good ride for James Dunn. Had he not taken so long to get past Paul Jonas in the early part of the race, who knows what was a 6-second gap at the time when he found himself on the rear wheel of the Latvian. Could have been challenging Geiser for the first win and potentially the first defeat of the season. But he's got his head down and he is pushing on, James. Oh, couple of stabs of the leg there. That's turn 5 through the waves over the double jump and then into that slightly off cambered turn 6. That's Bonini. See him down in 18th at the moment. Looks to have maybe nudged aside. It won't be Jaap Corneth, I wouldn't have thought, but maybe he has. Possibly, yeah, Corneth not backing off. Corneth, one of the riders who really steamed through the pack yesterday. When he started down in 22nd, got back to 8th. But we're looking at Bonini at the moment, the 999 on the right in the blue. He's got 3 or 4 guys just ahead of him. And having just found a way past Jaap Corneth, he's got Damien Simone Fallotti and Riccardo Righi just ahead of him. So there's the 64 that did get Damien's. But with just under 7 minutes to go, plus those 2 laps, the Silver Action KTM rider of Slovenia, Tim Geiser, completes his 8th lap. And will that gap come back down again? Well, he's gone slightly quicker that time at 2:02.1. But the fastest man on track the last 2 times, and still again, the 2:01 of James Dunn. So that gap now 8.5 seconds. But he's maybe just going to run out of time. The young kid from Great Britain, from England. No one able to get over the triple yesterday. But Tim Geiser finding the power and the drive to get through that second turn, but opting to go inside on that 18-meter double jump. And as he finds a way through, been pretty much untroubled during the course of this race. Well, I'm pleased to say that I have a guy from the Netherlands, yes, joining me, Jan Postema. Jan, of course, former rider in the past and now does a lot of work training riders, and of course been spending a lot of time in Thailand recently and running the Motocross of Nations team for the Thai riders. Of course, we do have a Grand Prix in Thailand next year, Jan. You're kind of involved in it in some way, shape or form. Maybe just explain to some of the viewers on MX Live TV your involvement and how's it looking over there at the moment?
Yeah, the involvement is like this, try to get everything sorted and then make it safe for the riders to be there and to give them safety in the complete thing.
Because of course, you know, it's no secret when we go to the flyway races like Mexico, Brazil this year, or whether we go to the US and Brazil in years gone by, it's a different kind of format for the Grand Prix riders. They don't have the luxury of their hospitality units and their race trucks and everything else. The bikes are shipped out of there, aren't they? And they have temporary work areas, temporary garages. It's a completely different thing. So I guess part of your work between Youthstream, the FIM, and the Thai Federation is going to be making sure that all these kind of things, the travel and the garages, the areas where they work from, the hotels that the riders are going to be staying in, that they're taken care of and looked after in the right way. Is that right?
Yeah, that's what we're going to do next week, being out there for 10 days, checking hotel facilities and doing several things to make it more comfortable for the riders. And the experience in Thailand has been like 25 years, and the Wongsuwon family is really pushing motocross on a high level down there, and we're just going to help them out with Greg building a track there. So it's going to be absolutely awesome for Thai, and also for motocross. Organization will be up level.
Yeah, of course, we don't know exactly the date that we're going to be going out there just yet. We're still waiting for the... okay, you have some hot off the press information for me.
Well, yeah, absolutely. It's going to be the first one next year.
Wow.
So I'm really happy with that. So have some space and time and really get stuff going down there.
Well, just back to the racing just for the moment. The 411, Nicolas Daucourt, still there in fourth position, chasing down Paul Jonas here. And this is for third position. Jonas was up in second early on in the race and was challenging Tim Geiser and was in a battle with James Dunn. That gap, incidentally, between the two leaders down to 7 seconds. And James Dunn setting his personal best, his fastest lap of the race, with a 2:04 second lap. But behind them, this battle here about 7 seconds further back between Jonas and Daucourt, the French guy who pulled the whole shot in this second UEM 125 European Championship race. He's really looking interested and knocking on the door for that third place. This European Championship format with the 125s and the 250s, obviously Jan, you know, a former rider and heavily involved in training riders, you know, for many years now, in much the same way that I do my schools. It's great to see the young kids having this platform, isn't it, to go racing in front of big crowds on the circuits that they're going to be racing in a few years' time.
It's absolutely the best thing out there, especially being on a 125. It makes it more hard. You have to be more exact on timing, and you really have to push yourself doing it. But you see the guys, the body positioning, they really are fighting and they really are going for it. And to show yourself out here and on the track that's been taken care of brilliantly. They really had an awesome job last night, and they really pushed and made the track like it was really hard and difficult, but they really did a tremendous job fixing it.
Well, you wouldn't know that we had rain for the last 48 hours looking at the circuit today. And yeah, testament to the organisers here. You know, the first time we're back in Wallonie as Jonas cases that triple jump and then has to go defensive to prevent the 411 of Nicolas Daucourt from going through, and Jonas is looking nervous at the moment.
Hey, he's definitely looking nervous, but he ought to be. When you're behind somebody, have more lines, different lines, can look at him and set it up.
And he's definitely trying to do that right now, using all the racetrack and a little bit more as he goes through that long sweeper at turn 6. Bottom end of the circuit, a mistake there from Jonas, and I think we have a new guy sitting in third place. It's going to be a drag race up into that next corner. It's still not done yet, this deal. It depends if Daucourt gets over the double. He does, and gives Jonas absolutely no chance to come back. And so Daucourt, a fine bit of riding there and moving himself into third position. I'm sure we'll see a replay of that in just a moment. Here we go. See this, he goes to the outside, does Daucourt in the green, and as we come out of the turn, look how low he is there. That's old school. That's
absolutely old school.
Just hanging it out.
Whoa.
And then that was nice.
And you see the knee brace coming in, huh? Really hitting the knee, the ankle really bad. And
yeah, if he wasn't wearing a knee brace there,
absolutely.
I mean, it probably would have been okay, but it was, you know, because it happened so quick. Yep. But you just never know. And like you say, one of the things that riders tend to wear a lot now, the knee braces. Of course, we see the neck braces as well, and that's obviously a personal preference to the riders. But there are more riders wearing, you know, layout knee brace, neck braces now than aren't.
Yeah.
What do you think, Jan Postema, about? I mean, there are arguments about, let's say, this 125 European Championship, for instance, a very, very good competitive championship, but a couple of manufacturers deciding not to produce 125 two-strokes anymore. I mean, I'm a believer that when you come from the 85, you should maybe at least have 1 year riding a 125 before they go on to the 250s, just to get used to the bigger bike and that kind of thing. Do you agree?
I agree, 100%. I really would like to see the guys a bit longer on a 125, because it makes you lazy being on a 250. Budget-wise, the 125 is a lot better. Maintenance-wise is a lot easier. So for me, it would be absolutely pushing more like a 125 and any 85 class. So really have the guys to ride the bike, to enjoy and to do exact stuff. And like you see this, push the bike, pull the bike, and being active on the bike with your body. And that's the only way to go fast in the future.
And it's also good for technique as well. Throttle control, gear change, guessing the rev range correctly.
No doubt.
Well, these guys making it look pretty easy, but it's interesting, isn't it? You know how when the two-stroke, when the 250 four-stroke first came to prominence back in sort of the early 2000, 2001, 2002 with KTM. Because it was a bigger, heavier bike and everything else, and it was allowed to ride in with the 125s, there wasn't too much of an advantage. You could still run a factory 125 and push a guy in a 250, but the development of the 250 over the last 10 years has just come on so much, hasn't it, that out of the crate, a 125 in standard form now, just seems to be left behind. But is there an argument, therefore, that do we have a 125 class, or do we go to a 150 two-stroke, so that then if you do combine the classes, they can be more competitive on a 150 in with a 250 in the standard form?
I would love a 125 to keep it. Keep it as a 125 because it makes the bike easier to maintain. It's more difficult. You make a mistake, you're dead. Well, let's say I'm quite old. So
you don't look a day over 55.
Thank you very much. But I'm from the 50cc area.
So am I.
And then you make a small mistake, you go backwards. And also on this track, you make a small mistake, you go to the outside line too far, and the bike just stalls on you. And that gives you the idea to do it.
Well, just looking at Tim Geiser here. He is our virtual round winner with 2 laps to go, but look at the gap now, 3.7 seconds between him and James Dunn. The lap times last time around about the same, although Geiser about 3/10 quicker than James Dunn. But James Dunn, I tell you what, now that we're coming into the slower traffic here, there is James Dunn just off the back of this group of riders, so he will have Tim Geiser in his sights and he will want to push on. And last week when he got to second position, he had nothing for Geiser, finished 45, 50 seconds down, but really putting in a good performance here, James Dunn. And as I said before you came in, Jan, had he not got stuck behind Paul Jonas for the first 3 or 4 laps of the race, when the gap was only around 6 or 7 seconds, we could have seen a real battle for the lead here in the closing stage of this 125 race. But this guy, Tim Geiser from Slovenia, really showing everybody how to do it, isn't he, this year? Unbeaten in 2012.
Yeah, but he's clever. He doesn't push himself. He's just, you see the upper body. The upper body is really up. You really can see that he's like controlling the bike completely. Yeah. And that makes a big difference because a lot of guys are like a mouse on the bike. They intend to put the upper body much lower. Yeah. And once they hit something, they hit it double as hard. So the upper body up makes it more comfortable.
Yeah, when we talk about the riding styles there, for the generation that can remember the likes of Alessandro Puzar, always behind the bike, always fighting the bike, but it looks spectacular. But Tim Geiser of the generation where he's just stood on the pegs and letting the bike work between him, and he's got a good upper body strength, and he just holds himself perfectly poised where he doesn't have to do so much work. And as you say, it's quite economic, it's very energy efficient. But he also has a very quick motorcycle there with that Silver Action KTM, doesn't he? But that's not all of it.
I think he is the guy, the rider makes the tuner. Yeah. And he's the guy that does the job. Just get rear brakes, touching a little bit, upper body is there, not doing too much, he's doing enough. He's just getting the job done.
Yeah, and the thing is, you could put guys. Oh, was that Brevers?
No, Dutch guy.
But I'm just thinking.
Danny de Vries.
Okay.
Oh, Evers, sorry. No,
Evers.
Yeah.
But going back to that, I mean, Geiser goes down. Geiser goes down, and that gap, he was sitting there. And James Dunn, where is he? Where's James Dunn? Has he gone through? Oh, there he is. Here's the battle for the lead. So the 243 suddenly can't afford to relax, and James Dunn, he goes down again. That's it. The maximum score has gone for Tim Geiser. He's thrown it all away. He was relaxing. He took his eye off the ball instead of pushing throughout the race. James Dunn kept pushing, and there you see the last lap. And obviously applying that pressure. We saw him looking around just to try to manage that gap between him and James Dunn, and he's got rattled and he's gone down. He's thrown away the perfect score. Jan Postema.
Absolutely. I think Stefan Evers did it once.
Yeah, in South Africa as well.
Yeah.
The GP there back at Sun
last
City.
lap, and just
waving to the crowd and then lost the front end. Grant Langston did it in a Supercross. He was on the verge of giving KTM their first 125 Supercross victory back in 2001, I think it was. Same thing.
But what a school. What a school to be out there and to make these kind of mistakes when you're very young.
Yeah.
And he won't make it again.
Exactly.
So it's just the place to be and to enjoy it. It's great. It's absolutely great. Magnificent to see it.
And it's going to be great for James Dunn as well. He's an English kid riding on an English, a British team, because it's run by an Irishman, Roger McGee, former Nations team manager for Northern Ireland. But checkered flag goes out, and it's a win for James Dunn. And that's his first ever European Championship victory. And what a time to do it here in Belgium. There'll be a lot of British support out there, but finally for him, he gets the job done. But look at that, shaking his head. He can't believe it, Tim Geiser in the yellow. He still wins the overall, but look at that, third, almost second because of the mistakes there. The 411 of Dercourt. In fact, he got second. Dercourt came over the line in second. So he took even...
mid-air.
Geiser just before the finish line. So that's second place. So what a turn up for the books then in this 125 European Championship second race. And as we said, Jan, a moment ago, some great racing and a great school as well to learn your trade and learn of mistakes as well. You can learn to win races, but you can also learn from your mistakes, and you always have to do that.
And especially the happiness after, being second or third, just being happy. It's a party out there. Just enjoy it and enjoy the riding, enjoy the crowd, enjoy the total thing.
Yeah. So we've got, in a moment, we'll have all the classification of the results here on MX, on the 125s on MX Live. But you're going to be dropping in, I think, a little bit in the MX2 race.
It's going to be very interesting. I'll really be happy to join you.
Yeah, no worries. Obviously, the first 10 minutes is all of the pre-show stuff, the postcard, the pre-race interviews, the team reports, which, incidentally, this weekend in MX2 Race 1, it's going to be LS Honda, and for MX1 Race 1, it's going to be Rockstar Energy Suzuki World MX1.
How happy they are. It's
Tim,
great.
congratulations on another GP win under your belt. A bit of a disappointing end there, but nevertheless, you've just won the GP of Belgium.
Yeah, it was good. I do some mistakes, so I crashed 3 times, so I don't know. It's good. I will lead in championship. This is the most important.
Well done. We'll talk to you more in the podium in just a second.
Yeah, disappointed, but still leading the championship. That's the advantage of being 56 points clear of everybody else coming into here with the consistency that he had, Jan Postema.
Yeah, I'm surprised. He's really professional. He just talks like, okay, stuff happens like this, and I say he's still leading the championship. That's the most important thing for him, and a clever boy.
Yeah, and good as well for James Dunn to, look at that, he just got short.
He endoed it big time.
Yeah. That's it. That's the difference between winning and losing today in the second race. And then he made another mistake here. Look, off the side of the bike, he tried to save the lead, and look at that, almost
run over. Whoa.
Got took out there. But then he obviously picked himself up. See how disappointed he is, though. But Gigi from Golden Tire as well. Just is that his dad? I think it is. Some things never change, huh?
No. The dads are always around, or the moms. It's just cool to see it.
Well, Jan, I'll let you shoot off for now, but in an hour's time we're going to be live with MX2 Race 1, and that's going to be pretty interesting as well, because for those guys, the first dry track training they had today because of the wet yesterday, and we still don't realise who is going to be on top because we have no race footage from yesterday. It's a brand new circuit, brand new Grand Prix here in Belgium, but is it going to be Jeffrey? Is it going to be Jeremy? Is it going to be Tommy? Max? It's really difficult to say, isn't it?
The start's going to be very important, but like it always is. But the lines are so difficult. So, there's so much traction.
Yeah.
So it makes it hard.
Okay, classification then. James Dunn wins from Nicolas Decourt, Tim Geiser, Paul Jonas, Ludovic Brevis and Václav Kovar, with Manny Klingsheim and Van der Vlies down in 8th, with Alessio Della Mora 9th, Simone Fillotti eventually coming home in 10th, ahead of Anton Lundgren, Joel van Mechelen, Ricardo Rigi, Jaap Cornet, Davide Bernini, 15th in the end for him. And then we had Jermaine Jamet, Henri Jacobi, Dietger Damians, the 123 of Lassie Christofferson, and Dan Huze down in 20th place. No points for anybody 21st onwards. Right, Jan Postema, thanks for joining us here for now. Pleasure.
Thank you very much.
And I look forward to seeing you in MX2 in a short while. Thank you. So we saw the overall classification for the race just a moment ago, but overall round belongs to Geiser with Decour and Jonas. So good weekend for the 411 there, pushing on for second right the way to the end, Nicolas Decour. And Paul Jonas on the podium for the first time this year as well. So what an interesting day then. Interesting weekend so far with the weather and the rain and all of that. A couple of Dixon Yamaha fans there. Well, the points will look like this. Geiser was 56 points clear of the rest of the field before the first moto. What's he on now? 195 to 133. So he's still extended his lead over Magna Klingsheim. 62 points now, that gap. So not bad, but obviously he was looking at going for the perfect score, clearly, by the way that he was riding yesterday and today. Just had a bit of open mic in the background there. That front number plate just hanging off the side of the bike there. That's after the crash that he had, or after the 3 crashes he said he had. But it just goes to show, as we mentioned a moment ago, Tim Geiser just maybe taking his eye off the ball, built up a pretty decent lead, 12 seconds, thought he could manage it, but got to the point where he got into the traffic, into the back markers, and James Dunn continued to push on. And rightly so as well, obviously feeling more at home around this circuit here, more so than he did last week in Portugal, and was able to take the challenge to Tim Geiser this week, and in convincing manner as well. KTM, 200 points, obviously won every race this year. Suzuki, Yamaha, Kawasaki, of course. There are 4 manufacturers in this UEM 125 European Championship. So James Dunn then, he'll be pleased with his first ever victory in 125 European Championship. But third overall, taking the step of the podium. The 141 of Paul Jonas, the KSM Racing Team rider from Latvia. Second overall, though. Look at him. He looks like he's about 7 years old. Just got off the 85s. Nicolas Decour. And is he a star of the future? He certainly looked like one then, as he came home in second position. But our overall winner, Tim Geiser, Silver Action KTM, takes the top step of the podium for the 4th time this year. And yeah, looking pretty relaxed with himself despite the mistake that he made just a moment ago. Paul Janssens, the sport president of the Belgian Motorcycle Federation, on hand for the trophies in 3rd place for Paul Jonas. Samuel Zune, Hyundai Belgium, one of our sponsors here this weekend, gives Nicolas Decour his first ever European 125 Championship trophy. But Tim Geiser, once again, another winner here. Getting used to it. Here's a winner's trophy. Paul Janssens again, on hand. That's your top 3. Of course, we still have the manufacturer's trophy to be handed to Silver Action KTM on behalf of KTM, of course, winning manufacturer this weekend. And winning team, Marco Madashki, the team owner, team manager there on the left. And once again, our representative from Hyundai doing the honours there in this 125 European classification. Our UEM representation this week from Giorgio Bonfigli, handing Tim Geiser another championship red plate. He's a winner here in Belgium this weekend. In a moment, there will be the national anthem for Slovenia. So the national anthem for Slovenia, for Tim Geiser, winning here this weekend in Belgium. Austria, though, winning manufacturers. Here is the national anthem of Austria. So despite the mistakes in that second moto, Tim Geiser still walks away an overall winner for the fourth time in 2012. He wins the Belgian round of the EMX 125 European Motocross Championship ahead of Nicolas Decourt in second, and of course the number 141 of Paul Jonas. Well, the gate dropped here in the second race. Magne Klinsheim didn't make a good jump from the inside, but it was Nicolas Decourt who found a way through and led coming out of turn one. Took a look back over his shoulder as well to check see if it was still real. In second at that time was Paul Jonas, but James Dunn found a way through with a handful of laps to go and then set about the challenge of closing down Tim Geiser, who was already about 12 or 13 seconds clear. Further down the field, riders coming through the field were the number 95 and of Simone Fillotti at 999, Davide Bonini. But up front, making it look so easy and looking like he was in control at that time was Tim Geiser, who was going for his 8th victory in a row, 10 if you count back from the Italian round last year. Well, Decourt, who started first and dropped back to fourth, eventually found himself challenging for third place when he closed back in on Paul Jonas, the number 141 there on that orange KTM. And a mistake from Jonas eventually allowed Decourt to go through. James Dunn, meanwhile, he got the gap down, and Geiser crashed, and he came home and won the race.
Tim, so close to extending that unbeaten race win. What happened towards the end of that second race?
Yeah, really, I lead, I have a good start. I start second and I pass first in first lap, so I lead to last lap, so I crashed 2 times in last lap. I don't know what happened. It was my mistake, but okay, I lead, so this is the most important.
Well, congratulations for winning the GP of Belgium.
Thank you.
Yeah, turned out all right in the end for Tim Geiser, of course. Extends his lead as well by another, what, is it 6 points over Magne Klinsheim? So now 62, 63 points clear, something like that. But, of course, we'll see the 125 European Championship guys again in Sweden, which is going to be in 2 weeks' time when we go to Uddevalla. That's also the next round of the F1, MX2, MX1 Motocross World Championship as well. But second overall, Nicolas Decourt. Wonder if his English is any good.
Nicolas, you took the whole shot in that second race. How do you feel?
Je suis très content. J'ai beaucoup travaillé cet hiver avec mon préparateur Hervé Tip Top. Je le remercie beaucoup parce que il fait beaucoup pour moi. Mes parents, je remercie aussi tous ceux qui me soutiennent, mes sponsors. Et je suis vraiment très content.
I'm very happy. I'd like to thank all my sponsors. We worked super hard over the winter and it's great to finally be back on the podium. So I'd like to say a big thank you to everyone.
I didn't realise Amy Dargan was so fluent in French. But anyway, second overall, 411. Nicolas Decour. I say, he looks like he's just fresh off the 85, so I'd put him down around about 14 years old, something like that. But already well schooled in media.
For a slightly easier race today than yesterday, how has your weekend been?
Weekend was pretty good. I take good start, second race, and the first race was real bad start, but the race was very good. And yeah, track was slippery, but I like.
Congratulations for finishing on the podium.
Thank you.
Yeah, third overall, Paul Jonas. Good weekend all in all for him. Gets himself on the box. A bit of extra mileage for the sponsors and all the rest of it. But he'll be looking forward to going to Sweden, as we all will, to see how the next stage of this UEM 125 European Championship drama unfolds. Well, the next action out on track, which we will not be covering, is the Evo motocross race. Guys who were riding bikes before 1990. They've got a 15-minute plus 2 lap race. But we'll be back in about an hour's time. That'll be race 1 for MX2. My name's Paul Malin. Thanks for watching today, and we'll see you just a little later on. Bye for now.